So the first recommendation is around academic vocabulary, which is something that folks said you have a variety of confidence in, but maybe a little more confidence in some other dimensions of instruction. And the recommendation is to teach a set of academic vocabulary words intensively across several days using a variety of instructional activities. So let me unpack each of these a little bit. So one is the idea that for English learners, it's really important to emphasize academic vocabulary words. So by that I mean academic vocabulary words are words that are important to academic text. They go beyond the sort of basic English proficiency and basic sort of interpersonal conversational skills. It's important to pick a relatively small number of words that you can work on intensively so that you can spend more time per word. And it's important to use a variety of instructional activities. So a couple of quick steps in this. So first is that we know from research that it's useful for this to be based in text. It's based in informational text is often quite useful, and that it's engaging text. Second, that, as I mentioned, choosing a small set of words so that you can really focus on them in depth. A third key step is to think about multiple modalities, so writing, speaking, and listening. So rather than just teaching vocabulary in the context of oral performance or in the context of reading, getting students opportunities to use these words in multiple ways in their writing activities, providing opportunities for students to do a lot of work in pairs and in small groups to talk through word meanings. I'm going to skip over this. And then the final step is that it's important for students to be able to teach word learning strategies that help students independently figure out the meanings of words. So I'm sure many of you do this using context clues. The three big strategies that have the most base in the research are context clues, when it's appropriate, using word parts, so finding out how words relate to each other, so how investigate relates to investigation, and how exhibit relates to exhibition. And then for students whose language backgrounds make it possible, thinking about how to use cognate, so how to build on students' first language opportunities as a word learning strategy. So we know from research that many students have great abilities to see connections across their two languages, but that other students may need some help in pointing out and making use of those kinds of resources they have in their first language. So the second recommendation is to integrate oral and written English language instruction into content area teaching. And again, this is a recommendation that folks said they had at least some confidence in, so I'll do it a little bit quickly. Some of the strategies that research has suggested in thinking about integrating language with content area instruction are to use certain kinds of instructional tools and to use them really strategically. So tools such as short videos or visuals or graphic organizers are great at anchoring instruction and helping students make sense of content. So strategic use of a brief video clip, we're not talking about playing a video for an entire period, we're talking about a 4-minute clip that students then have a discussion about, is really useful to build common background knowledge and to anchor the instruction that's going to happen later. Paying explicit attention, not only spend more time where students have the chance to write. I think one way we may have gone a little bit wrong, or we may have had some problems in the last couple of years, is that we've had such a focus on reading, in part potentially because of state accountability and the emphasis on reading assessments, that we just simply teachers spend less time teaching writing and less time giving students opportunities to write. So I think one thing we can certainly do for English learner students for whom we want to not just develop receptive skills like reading and listening, but we want them to ultimately develop productive skills with the language in terms of both speaking and writing, is to give students more opportunities to write and to scaffold and structure those appropriately.